Rock Talk.
We're almost back on all cylinders. We're getting close. No, you're turned down, remember? Because you told me to turn you down.
Yeah.
Welcome to Rock Talk. I'm Steve McDonald here with Skip Murphy. Mike Rogers is back. Yay, Mike. I'll turn your microphone on. And
yeah, if I'm lucky, I even get to talk.
You get to talk. You've been doing more talking than me, right? Rick Olson is here also. But we don't want to talk about us. We want to talk about our guest, who is calling us from the distant land of Ohio. Greg Moore, welcome to the show.
At Defending the Dream Summit, where we wish we were, but we'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, well.
I'll tell you, we're having a great time at the Defending Dream Summit. We've got a great delegation from New Hampshire, including one of the Groksters with Kim Morin is out here having a great time. If you're not following her on social media, she's tweeting up a storm. She's Facebooking up a storm. And she's having a blast out here with a great group of folks from the Granite State. I tell you, a lot of people spend their time focusing on all the great speakers. We had John Taffer from Bar Rescue. We had Jim Jordan, who's the head of the Freedom Caucus in the House of Representatives, did a great job speaking. And we also heard from a couple folks we see in New Hampshire a lot. We had Governor Bush. And I got to tell you what, if you didn't see Bobby Jindal's speech at the Defending the Dream Summit, I'm telling you, it's the best 20 minutes of your day today. If you go and look that up, look up Bobby Jindal, Defending the Dream Summit. He absolutely lit the place on fire. Did a fantastic job. And I got to tell you, the crowd just went wild. So, with one more day of today, Governor Perry, got Senator Marco Rubio and Senator Ted Cruz, as well as a few other dignitaries. For those who want to follow on live stream, just go to defendingthedream.com. It's a great event. About 3,600 activists from across the country, all 50 states are here, having a great time. But it's not so much about that. It really is that everyone pays attention to the general session, the beginning part of the day, where there's actual trainings and teaching activists the best tools of the trade so that when they go back to their home states, including the folks from New Hampshire come back, they actually are better equipped to fight for liberty and fight for freedom. And I got to tell you what, the folks I've been talking to, our folks are saying the same thing, which is, you know what, I like the session, I like the speeches. Of course, we're a little spoiled because we can get most of these folks in New Hampshire anytime we want, right? But they're saying it's really the trainings that are the best part of it for them. There was a training about how to communicate with millennials, training on how to message Obamacare. Stuff like that is absolutely fantastic and absolutely essential to getting these people to get more engaged and more active. And I'm thrilled to be part of this great event.
Greg, there's always a main theme to all of these major events that AFP puts on. What is the theme for this year's Defending the Dream?
Well, first and foremost, it's our fundamental opportunity to thank all of our activists who put their blood, sweat, and tears into it. But generally speaking, our main theme is getting back to the focus of limited government that's being taken away from us. I know it sounds like a really broad theme, and it is, because everyone has their own way of viewing how that is being taken away from us. But I'll tell you this much: we really take the opportunity in this year to focus on building. How do we build infrastructure? How do we continue to develop those tools in the community and get more people involved? We have 3,600 people here this year. They said that's fine. We want 5,000 here next year. And it probably won't be in Ohio, maybe somewhere else. But I'll tell you what, we're going to have an even bigger event next year. And the idea is to keep this thing growing and growing and growing. And hopefully the Groksters will be down at the Defending Dream Summit next year to see it firsthand.
Right. And in fact, one of the themes of your opening sequence was the torchbearers igniting the fight for liberty and increasing your carbon footprint. That's correct, right?
Well, you know what? If we're going to make a little extra carbon in order to bring freedom to the country, it's well worth it.
Now, one quick question. It came out this week that the U.S.'s standing of economic freedom.
Can you move that away from your mouth just a little bit?
Just a little bit. Okay. How's that?
The index of economic freedom?
Yes, we have now dropped to about 20th. We used to be in the top 3, and over the last 8 years, and we know who's been in charge over the last 8 years, has that been talked about at all by anybody so far?
Not in the general session. It's something we've certainly been discussing in places like the Bloggers Lounge and in some of the economic freedom trainings. You're talking about the Fraser Institute, which is based in Canada. They actually do a listing every year of measuring economic freedom, and the Fraser Institute does a great job of this. Back in 2000, I know 2000 we were coming at the very tail end of the Clinton administration, but we'd actually made a lot of progress in a number of different areas. With definitely a free market-oriented U.S. House and somewhat less free market-oriented U.S. Senate, but the U.S. was ranked third. And in some cases, I think we even got as high as number 2. But the two countries we were behind were Singapore and Hong Kong. Those aren't really countries; they're more city-states at that point. And so I don't know that you can look at them the same way you do a broad, diverse economy like a full-fledged country. So among the larger countries, U.S. was number 1 in the world. And you're right, we've now fallen way down, behind places, not just like places you might think that have embraced free markets, like Switzerland, places that like Canada, which is more free market than we are, places like Chile. But now we're falling behind countries like Norway. This is a Scandinavian socialist-oriented country. We're falling behind them. I think that's a really disappointing.
Make sure you use a capital S when you say socialist in Scandinavia.
That's right. And they admit it. They'll be the first people to admit it. And when we're falling behind countries like that, there's a fundamental problem. We need to completely reevaluate where we're going and get back to where we were, just 15 years ago.
Well,
right, and it began before the current administration. The Congress that we had in the 2000s wasn't great, and then we got the Democrats in 2006. So we've had a pretty long period of decline.
Absolutely. I can't. It's not a partisan issue. Since 2000, we have seen a massive expansion of government under both Democrats and Republicans. And from our perspective, it's about free markets. We fight for ideas. We like to say we're about the what, not the who. But at the end of the day, we have to hold everybody accountable, regardless of whether they have a D, an R, or an S after their name. In the case of Senator Bernie Sanders, we have to hold them all accountable, and that's one of the reasons why the Defending Dreams Summit is so critical, and why we as an organization want to make sure we equip our activists, because we can't do it all alone as far as the staff. The staff works their tail off. I can't tell you how thankful I am for the AFP New Hampshire staff and the level of activity and work they put in. But we can't do it on our own. We need to have people, the volunteers, the activists, the people who are willing to make phone calls, knock on doors, reach out to their congressman or their state rep or their state senator, and say, listen, this has to change. You can't get in the way of progress. Right now, as many of you guys know, we have a TV ad we're running, holding Governor Hassan accountable for opposing business taxes at a time when we have the third highest business tax rate in the country. We're saying, look, it's time for you to understand that we have to put our economy first and stop putting growing government as your number one metric.
Hey, Greg, quick question for you. At this summit, is the focus primarily on business and taxes, or all concepts that are sacred to those of us that are freedom-minded?
Listen, Americans for Prosperity exists to expand economic freedom.
Yep.
That's exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about our core elements of that message, getting government out of people's lives. We say this all the time. AFP's mission, AFP exists to try to allow people to live their own American dream in the way that they choose, not the way the government chooses, but the way they choose. And that means giving them their money back. It means giving them their authority back to spend their money the way they want. It means keeping government off their back in terms of regulating them. And of course, it means you have to have a responsibly sized government that lives within its means and doesn't take any more from the citizens than it has to. And I think that's really what we're focusing on. Property rights, that's another important element. Healthcare, getting your healthcare choices back. Education, getting education choices back to the locals so that they can make the decisions that are best for their community. And those are the things we fight for every day with Americans for Prosperity.
And isn't that perhaps why Bobby Jindal resonated so much? Because he was on all of those themes yesterday, and the conference call he had afterwards echoed some of those.
Well, I didn't get a chance to hear his conference call, but we were probably listening to John Taffer from Bar Rescue at the time. But I'll tell you this much: Bobby Jindal just absolutely lit the room on fire. It was unbelievable the response he got from the crowd. He moved across a whole host of issues. He spoke. He brought it. I'll tell you this much: he brought it yesterday on his speech. It set a high bar for Senator Cruz. I mean, everyone thinks going in that Senator Cruz is a fantastically gifted orator, that he's going to be able to really get the crowd rocking. But I'll tell you this much: he's had the bar set higher for him after Governor Jindal's speech.
That's great to hear.
Oh, sorry.
Steve?
Yeah, we were going to talk about the governor's budget.
Yeah.
So.
Or the lack thereof.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The fact that we don't have one. The governor's continuing resolution.
And the good news, we're saving money every day, Steve. So I think it's important to remember that every day that goes on that doesn't have a budget, the taxpayers are actually saving money. So, in a way, I'm kind of like, well, let's see how long we can get this thing to last. We can go 2 years of continuing resolutions and save a whole lot of money. But from our perspective, there are some important elements that are critical to getting New Hampshire's long-term growth problem resolved. And one of the biggest ones we have is having a competitive business tax culture. Right now, small businesses need tax relief. And the governor proposed a plan when she said, hey, listen, I'm going to agree to a certain amount of business tax relief, but I'm going to hammer small businesses along the way. I don't understand why you say, listen, we're going to make the state more competitive. With one hand, but on the other hand, say we're going to annihilate our small businesses with a regime of terror laid out by our tax collectors to try to pummel hardworking small business owners to make their life miserable. It just makes no sense whatsoever. The bottom line is it's great to have big business. Every big business job is just as good as a small business job. Don't get me wrong. Thrilled to have all of them. But the small business is really what makes New Hampshire special, and historically has really been how New Hampshire has thrived. It's those small businesses that have the opportunity to grow from 5 to 10 to 15 to 20. That's really where we see our job growth in our state. And it makes no sense to say, okay, we're going to start dropping the hammer on those types of businesses. The governor needs to say, listen, you're going to have to push back against the liberals who are coming after you and saying we need more government. We need more government. And you know what? I got to tell you one thing.
I actually got to cut you off, Greg, because we got like 10 seconds left. So I want to thank you for coming on the show. Short
Absolutely.
segment.
Thanks so much. We'll have a great time in Columbus. DefendingTheDream.com. Watch it. There's great general session starting about 1 o'clock today.
All right. Take it easy. We'll see you.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Rock.